Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back on News and Views right here in Salam Media. I do hope you're going to keep me company for the next 2 hours. We've crossed over now and we're in the United Kingdom connecting up with Ashur Sharmis, a Libyan journalist that is based in the UK. Assalamu alaikum to you. Welcome to the program.
Alaikum assalam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, very, very sorry to hear about the utter devastation playing out in Libya as you and I speak. I'm sure you are absolutely brokenhearted and devastated by it. We are talking about 10,000 people thought to be missing after dams have burst. And of course, that is after the floods. And we also understand that an estimated number of about 2,000 people may have died in the city of Derna alone. What more do you know about this devastation?
As you say, the event is shocking. It is mind-boggling also. The fact that the whole um, mountain seems to have come down from the top to the bottom, right into the sea. The problem is this city, which is one of the beau- beautiful cities on the southern Mediterranean, has been swept by the water that's come from the top through first dam, which was built very flimsily uh, built, had no maintenance, it had no structure, there was no infrastructure in that dam. It's a huge dam which was pushed by the water, and it was uh, taken into the sea. On its way, it burst two more dams, uh, also doing the same job, but have no ability, have no structure, have no uh, ability to stand this pressure, because the water was very uh, uh, very thick and very substantial. So it swept everything on its way: houses, farms, animals, people, everything. And it seems that the number now is about 10,000 people missing. Most of them have probably been thrown into the sea with the sorry, with the sand and the mud and the various other things that were swept over by the water. And this is something that Darna has never seen, and it is uh, very shocking, very heartbreaking to see that uh, the city has completely been evaporated, and uh, there are now supposed to be, facilities to go and help these people, but it's not possible to help them because there's no roads, no access points to the city. So the tragedy is still there, and the people who are in Derna have nothing to save them. They have very little to uh, enable them to face this tragedy.
Sadly, we believe that Derna has now been declared a disaster zone. Let's get back to the 10,000 people who are thought to be missing after the dams have burst. Um, I hate to be very pessimistic on this note, but when the reports suggest 10,000 people thought to be missing, I should imagine that many of them presumably have already died.
Conclusion that we can arrive at, that the helpless people who were in their houses and in their um, places of living, in their farms, whatever, have been swept away by the water into the sea, and completely. Some of them may have never been found out. Now, as far as the living ones still living, they are also suffering a lot, and they uh, they need a lot of assistance and a lot of help and a lot of uh, uh, direction what to do, because there is no there are no instructions as how they can avoid this thing. They will have to make do with whatever they have in their hands, and the so-called authorities, governing authorities of Derna or Benghazi, they are helpless. Libya has been in a terrible situation even before this, long before this. It has no structure, no government structure. It's a failed state. In other words, this is the worst time that Derna or any part of Libya can be hit by something like this, and unfortunately, this is the situation at the moment. There is no government, no authorities, no institutions or services that can help these people. Very rudimentary equipment and very rudimentary plans to how to um save them.
Okay, let's go for our first ad break. Please stand by. We'll get back to you in a minute or two to talk some more about this devastating event out in Libya.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
There's no smell that takes me back to the comfort of my childhood than the smell of black seed oil being applied by my nanny. Now I'm using Tib black seed in my own home to soothe sniffles and coughs, to help with digestion and immunity, and of course, as part of my beauty routine. After all these years, I've come to appreciate the wisdom in finding comfort and shifa in trusted treatments like Tib black seed. You can find Tib black seed at all leading pharmacies or find out more at blackseed.co.za.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief.
Conveniently located along the banks of the Crocodile River bordering the Kruger National Park, as a guest at Buckler's Africa Lodge, one can enjoy an amazing sunrise or sunset on our spacious deck area while you catch a glimpse of some wildlife sightings along the Crocodile River. The sounds of the African savannah will greet you whilst you enjoy your morning coffee. Buckler's Africa Lodge, by Tingana Collection. Buckler's Africa Lodge is ideally situated only 6 kilometers from the Crocodile Bridge Gate in the Kruger National Park. Catering for all travelers with variety, we have 4 types of the finest rooms: superior rooms, deluxe suites, and 2-bedroomed family units. Each room is equipped with the finest amenities to make your stay unforgettable. Guests can choose between the self-catering option or book their accommodation with breakfast and dinner included. Buckler's Africa Lodge is your ideal location for the ultimate Kruger getaway experience. We specialize in exhilarating and educational game drives in Kruger, tailor-made to suit your family. Inquire about our various accommodation offerings and other activities. Visit www.tingana.co.za for more information. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Experience the pulse of Africa with us.
Ah, the kitchen, the heart of the home, where memories are made and celebrated. Our go-to place for those freshly stacked pancakes early in the morning or for that late-night snack munchies. We are in there together, cooking, eating, and celebrating life together. Let's keep the kitchen a place that is shared by everyone, where we build stronger bonds and grow together. Sunfoil, Now We Cooking. Visit nowwecooking.co.za for recipes that everyone can help make.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
The time is exactly 18 after 8 o'clock, and you will notice on the screen we have some pictures of the utter devastation due to the floods in Libya. We are talking with Ashur Sharmis. He is a Libyan journalist based now in the UK. He was an activist with the Libyan opposition group, the National Front for the Salvation of Libya. This was throughout the 1980s until 2011, ousting of Muammar Gaddafi. Ashur, welcome back. You said just now that Libya is now a failed state. Would you say that was due to the ousting of Muammar Gaddafi? Or what do you believe has led to the political instability in Libya being a failed state?
Well, the beginning of this situation was in 2010, 2011, with the so-called the Arab Spring, when people revolted against the systems in Egypt, in Tunisia, and in Libya. Of course, at the beginning, people were very optimistic that something is going to happen to get rid of Gaddafi, because the Gaddafi regime has very, very little to defend its status at this time as well. I think getting rid of Gaddafi was the biggest success of that uprising. Now, once that had happened, Libya was allowed to be free, completely free. A population which has been suppressed for 40 years is given freedom, and that is something new to the Libyans. And everything was free. The money was free, the wealth was free, the weapons are free. And that is the point, that the crux of the matter, that people began to accumulate anything they can to form their own power bases. And various power points erupted in the country, and there were clashes between them. And until now, these groups which formed into armed people with weapons, with very sophisticated weapons, and also a build-up, some sort of a setup for themselves to protect their own interests in Libya, in the south, in the west, and in the east. And Libya has been divided in other words, cut off and cut up into pieces, and was taken over by these armed groups of in the country. In addition to that, there was another group or other groups who were after money, and they accumulated money in any way they can, and they considered everything as free for them to take and to build up. Therefore, corruption has grown to to extreme levels. Until now, there are millionaires who have been who have built up themselves with built up their power empire in order to 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 push their own interests, and this, of course, has fragmented the country, and it has caused lots of clashes between various groups, and so on. So the country has, instead of going towards state building and settlement of the situation and solving the various problems that were inherited from Gaddafi and so on, no, they went the other way. They made things worse, and they are still the cause of making it worse. You cannot pinpoint on the situation in Libya at one aspect or one person or one group. It's everybody. Everybody has been involved in this corrupt, armed situation, and unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be an end to this situation at the moment. And there comes, something like this in Derna, which is something bigger and more complicated than anybody can face or anybody can deal with. So, it's a combination of things, a combination of God's will, if you like, and a combination of the people's shortcomings and greed and their running after their own interests and forgetting the interests of the people. So there are no services, no facilities to help people, especially in a disaster like this, a huge, big disaster like this. And then the people are helpless. They are, they cannot cope with this situation. And there we are, a city that's been now cut off of the rest of the world. It's very difficult to get at because of the effect of the bursting of the dams, and the country, the city has been cut off from the east and from the west. People can't get to it. It will take days, maybe weeks, to be able to get into the heart of the problem and deal with it. Of course, by then, unfortunately, many would have died, would have lost their life, and many would have suffered to be treated somehow, and given some sympathy or some help or some relief to help them in their crisis. And you can see from the pictures and from the videos that we have seen all over the news, roads are cut, and all means of reaching the people inside the city have gone.
A very, very sad and devastating situation indeed. A couple of years ago, there was talk about one of Muammar Gaddafi's sons wanting to start wanting to take over the rule of government in Libya. Whatever happened to those plans?
You mean, if you mean Saiful Islam,
Hmm.
the
And I
son,
think one of his sons were also killed. Am I correct?
uh, some of his family were killed in the events of 2000 2010 and 2011. Uh, and the only one who's living, who sometimes uh, the people talk about, is Saiful Islam. Saiful Islam is being held by a group of Libyans in south of, well, in the north of Libya, near Tripoli. But uh, he has no power. He has no ability to lead or to um, organize anything that will enable him to take over the government of Libya. Libya is very, very difficult uh, uh, place to govern unless there is consensus from its own people. It will be impossible to gain power in Libya, and it has to be collective power. The people from various groups, tribes, regional groups, uh, educational groups, cultural groups, they have to come together and they have to share power. That's the only way to govern Libya, is to share power, because there are so many elements, human elements, so many uh, uh, ingredients in this country that you cannot run it as one country unless you are a dictator like Gaddafi did. Gaddafi ruled with power, with fire, with weapons, with carrot and stick and so on. So unless you have another dictator coming to organize the country, there is no way that you can uh, run it properly. But of course, uh, allowing another dictator into Libya will lead to nothing, because the whole purpose of the last movement was to get rid of dictatorship, and it did get rid of that dictatorship. Uh, it gave power to the people, but unfortunately, so far the people have failed, and they have proved that they can't run the country by bits and pieces here and bits and pieces there. You can't. There is another uh, uh, dictatorship, or let's say mini dictator, uh, Khalifa Haftar in the east, but he is not able to do anything. I mean, if he has the power, he would have been the first person in the scene to help the people, but he can't do anything, and he has no systems. He has no structure to deal with this. All his time is spent on holding on to power and getting rid uh, of his enemies. Uh, that's all. Not of building the people, or building the country, or preparing the people for any sort of disaster like we have in Darna today.
So, Ashur, this current disaster that Libya is faced with now could have been avoided had you had the correct leadership in place after the fall of Gaddafi, and if the political will was there, and if the infrastructure was maintained, we would not be seeing the devastation that we're seeing today. If
The,
those dams were properly built by the, with oversight by certified structural engineers, etc., 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 we would not have been, you and I would not have been talking and seeing these horrible pictures flashing on the screen.
yeah. What happened, of course, is beyond the human efforts. I mean, there has been some damage happened, and this will happen, like in Morocco or in Turkey or in other places. There will be some damage, but as you say, if we had an organization, if we had a central government, if we have a central authority in the land, the last 10 years, would we would have built certain uh, 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 certain power within the ruling authorities to deal with the various things. In other words, these structures, um, these disasters could have been mitigated, and we could have dealt with whatever happened much better and saved some lives. But like it is, we have no authority and we have no facilities. We have no means by which to deal with the structure like this. Now, if you look at it, the infrastructure, these dams that have burst recently, they've been there for 60 or 70 years, and no maintenance whatsoever. They are built of uh, rubble and sand and very, very shaky elements that has no strong abilities to deal with anything like this. A lot of water coming down. So what happened was just a little bit of pressure caused the eruption of the dams. And once the dams were collapsing, the water came down. So what can they do? Because there's no power. There is nobody ever thought of looking at these dams and building them properly or supporting their buildings, because the people were not thinking of building the state or building the infrastructure of the country. The very heart and bone of the country is fragmented. It's weak. It can't cope with huge events like this, or even half strength like this. And this is what happened. When it comes very, very badly. And there is a
Absolutely.
wake up call in this event, that the people have to get up. They have to work together. They have to forget about their self interests and their interests only, and they have to work together in order to keep the country going. Like I said, the country needs everybody to work together, which is not happening. Not only they are not able to work together, they don't trust each other, and not
I
trust.
suppose, yeah, they're being driven by greed and their own self-interest, obviously. And as you speak, I think this is such a salient lesson for us here in South Africa, because a similar thing is playing out here. There's a lot of people vying for political power. Our elections are around the corner, they're happening next year, and a lot of government officials and politicians are very, very corrupt. So we make lots of dua. Look, we do know the situation in Libya was the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, together with a failed state, that has resulted in this horrible disaster. We hope and pray that help does get to Derna sooner rather than later. But sadly, we do know that those death figures will be rising steadily till relief does reach them. But once again, I say it, this is a wake up call to South Africa and the rest of the world. We need to get our house into order. Just in closing, then, Ashur, what are you and other expat Libyans? How do you believe you can help the people in Libya, politically and otherwise?
A lot of people are helping already. They are forming committees, groups, relief groups to try and collect whatever they can in money or in terms of equipment and so on, and send it to Libya, where it can be used to help these hapless people who have been suffering from this. And we never know. I mean, the disaster has never stopped. The disaster just started now,
Sure.
because the duties now and the responsibility now is much greater than ever before.
So it's really about starting from scratch and helping the Libyan people back on their feet, and hopefully for them to rebuild their lives, their state, their city, and a very strong political system that can govern them justly. Ashur Sharmis, Libyan journalist based in the UK, thank you indeed for being with us. Once again, our heartfelt condolences for what has played out in Libya. Allah guide and bless all of you. And thank you indeed for your time this morning, right here on Salam Media in South Africa.
Thank you.
Salaam alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much.
The time is exactly 8:38, and goodness me, as the man was talking, I couldn't help by making parallels with us here in South Africa with our corrupt, failing system, our failing state. It was all so familiar the way the man was talking. And all I say and hope and pray is that common sense prevails and our politicians uh, don't allow our country to get to that situation. Let's just hope and pray we all come together with a lot of sensibility and save South Africa before things really go completely out of hand. We're going for an ad break now, and when we get back, we'll be talking with Professor Mohammed Haroon.